All right, so we are going to be discussing how to maximize your ROI at real estate events. And a lot of this stuff is good for any type of event, but I know everybody here is in some way, shape, or form in the real estate syndication space, multifamily space, commercial real estate space. So before we get started, wanted to mention our event coming up, the Multifamily Investor Nation Convention coming up in Charlotte. We're about 40 days away, June 12th, 13th, and 14th. Make sure to get your ticket. We've got a great lineup of speakers, keynotes, some great topics we'll be discussing, lots of great networking opportunities. So definitely go to mfincon.com, learn more, and get your ticket there. Also wanted to mention briefly, so my name is Melissa Broom. I'm the director of marketing and PR for a group called PassiveInvesting.com. We are a commercial real estate syndication group. We've got assets from multifamily, car wash, hotel, self-storage. We've got a real estate debt fund. So check us out. If you want to learn more about our team, you can click on Meet the Team on our website, PassiveInvesting.com. As well as you can click on our current offerings and see what we currently our current opportunities for accredited investors. So enough about me and our team. Like I said, if you are interested, check out PassiveInvesting.com and you can learn more there. All right, so how to maximize your ROI at real estate events. So some of this is it seems simple, but it's extremely important. If not, you'll end up wasting your time. And a lot of times you're spending $1,000, $2,000 on tickets to these events, and they're worth that. But you have to make sure you're putting in your best effort and your best foot forward to see the results from attending these events. So how many events should you attend each year? So the best advice I can give is at least once a quarter, you should be doing some sort of event, networking, meetup. It's important to stay consistent because it's all about habit. So habit is super important if you want to be successful. So making sure that if you're attending events and networking and learning and staying up to date with what's happening in the industry. Of course, you can read newsletters, and with the internet, there's a lot you can learn online, but there's so many golden nuggets you get from actually hearing speakers talk about, market updates and new, SEC changes and things like that you don't want to miss. So I would say once a quarter, attend some sort of in-person, virtual meetup that can be, a large scale event like we have MFANCon, where it might be 500 plus people in the event itself, or something smaller. There's also a lot of great smaller events. We also put on intensives and boot camps and things like that. So there's a lot of groups that put on more intensive type boot camp events. Those are great as well. Where you get in a room with 30 to 50 people and you really hone in on specific topics. So just make sure you're staying current and staying active, because, the minute you stop attending events, people don't see you anymore. And even in the virtual world, for virtual events, a lot of with technology, it kind of feels like you're in a room with somebody because you can see everybody who's there, and the networking is very similar. Which leads me into my next point here: in person or virtual, which is better? At this point, with COVID sort of being, I'm not going to say a thing of the past, but it has changed. We're sort of back to the way we were before. I would hope so. I hope things stay that way. But I would say in-person events are important. Virtual is great. It's good to, we're not always able to travel, and that's understandable. And there's some great virtual events out there. But I highly recommend in-person events, just to have that connection that you don't get through a computer. I know a lot of us learned how to do that during COVID, how to connect with people virtually. And it's a great skill that, I think we all learned and mastered over the course of the, 1 to 3 years that we were kind of in our homes. But definitely in-person events are they're back, they're happening. Make sure to attend the ones that interest you. So my five tips to get the most out of your event ticket. So the first one that I wanted to go over was the mobile app. So every event that I've ever been to has a mobile app. So sometimes it's through a platform like Huva, which is the one we use. There's a couple others like Cvent and some other ones. Some events have their own proprietary app, which is pretty cool. But make sure that you download that mobile app and you use it. So if that's going to have your agenda, that's going to have all of the attendees listed in the app. And you want to make sure that you're using it to its full potential. You can set up meetups that way. You can send messages that way. You can look at what's happening. There's different groups, different, happy hours, different things like that. So you always want to make sure that you download the mobile app and you're actually using it. When I attend events, I kind of have it up the whole time. It's easy to get distracted on your phone. So I try to leave the event app up so I can follow along with the agenda and the sessions and what's going on. So I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't realize the importance of that app and that mobile app and if you use it and use it right, you really get a lot of benefit from it. And one little tip I'll say about the mobile app, don't just randomly blast out a message that's like copy and pasted. Actually take the time to meet people. So go in, a lot of times you can search by criteria. So, if you're looking for a like self-directed IRA type group within the mobile apps, who's at this event, self-directed IRA, you search that in the app. Make sure you're actually using, being real. Don't just copy and paste a message. Hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm looking for this type of connection. Actually start the conversation and make sure you're being authentic and not just a copy and paste robot, if you will. I don't have a slide deck. I don't know. There's some of our team uses slide decks for these webinars. I just like to get up and talk. You'll get the recording. So if I'm going too fast, feel free to watch it back, but no slide decks. For me, at least. So some of the team uses them, some of them don't. I think it's easier just to talk and then, and go through things. And then if I have, things I add in, I don't have to follow a guideline, but my second tip is to prepare yourself. So sit down before the event and choose your objectives. Why are you going? Go with clear goals in your mind. That way, hey, I'm here to find investors. I'm here to learn about, a certain subject matter. I'm here to meet other operators to see how, so you want to make sure you go into it knowing what you're doing there. I know there's a lot going on and we put on events and we try to make it broad enough where we can where it's where you go and there's so much going on at once. So you want to make sure you know what you want to look for. We've got topics around, various things and different types of vendors. So just make sure, hey, I want to go and meet somebody for taxes. So you're specific, have that goal in mind. That helps because these events, especially some of the larger scale events, you want to make sure what your objectives are. My next tip is and this kind of goes with the last one of planning, but make sure you plan dinner or a happy hour or lunch or breakfast with somebody new. And in fact, make it 5 new people. You should always walk away from an event making new connections. Even if you don't necessarily, if your goal is to just go and learn, you should still be networking. You should still be going and saying, okay, and don't have dinner with your friends. Like you should step outside your comfort zone and say, hey, I know, Joe and Chris are going to be there and that's great, but encourage Joe and Chris to go meet with somebody else and have dinner with somebody else, not with you that night. You already know them, you work with them, or you've already established a relationship with them. So make sure and meals are a great way to make connections. And I think use that mobile app, find somebody you meet during the day and try to have a meal with them or share a meal with them. My next tip is use social media. So post before, during, after the event. A lot of times that's a great way to meet other people who are at the event as well, and interact and stay in touch. You'll see kind of different posts from different people and they tag so-and-so. And so it's important to show your followers that you're active and you're actively learning and you're actively networking. So make sure that you are posting, and it creates a great buzz around the event, and it's also a way to thank the event organizers afterwards, is creating that buzz around the event and leaving feedback, basically. Hey, I just got home from MFINCon and I learned so much, and this and that and the other. This is what I learned. This is who I met, things like that. So always post before, during, and after the event. I know if you're not active on social media, you should be. So that kind of goes without saying, but use social media. My last tip is kind of is important, I think, and it's do something memorable. So make an impact. It could be what you wear, what you do, what you say. I know that we've had a marching band come in with Dan before, which is fairly memorable. I don't know if some of you probably have seen him and his marching band. And then I've been to events where there's, men in fluorescent suits or women in all sparkles, or, do something where people go, oh my gosh, I know who you are. I've seen you before. I know who you are. Hey, I remember you. You had a marching band. Hey, I remember you. You had a, whatever. And it's going to be unique to who you are. You might not be one to wear a fluorescent suit, and that's fine, but you might be able to do something more memorable that's memorable to who you are. I think that's really important. And a lot of times people forget that. They kind of go to these events and they just blend right in. Especially if you're looking for investors and looking to make a name for yourself, you don't want to blend in. You want to do the opposite. You want to stand out in a good way. Don't do anything that's obviously going to make you stand out in a bad way. But it might feel silly, but stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out and step outside the box and do something memorable. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions? I'm happy to answer anything specific about, any specific questions or anything about our event coming up or anything about, events. I'm happy to answer questions if you want to put those in the chat or the Q&A box. I'll give everyone just a few minutes to do so. And let's see. I'm not seeing any questions. So if anybody has anything, happy to answer. All right. Well, if not, like I said, if you haven't yet gotten your ticket to MFINCon coming up on June 12th, 13th, and 14th, be sure to do so. Check out mfincon.com to get your ticket, see the speakers, see the sponsors, and let me see if we have next week's topic up. Yep. So next week on the webinar will be Taylor, who's our investor relations associate. Prospective investor call best practices for apartment syndication. So great topic around investor calls. So be sure to register for that now. And happy to answer any other questions around events. My email is melissa@passiveinvesting.com. Happy to discuss further or set up another time to chat. So if not, we will sign off for today, and be sure to register for next week. And we will see you in June at MFINCon, and maybe you can use some of these tips and best practices for the event in June. All right, everyone have a great rest of your day.